So hello, we're here again with Paul, just to carry on the conversation we've been having with him. So hello again, Paul.
Good morning. How are you, sir?
Okay, well, thank you. Yeah, and something else that comes up sometimes is a freehold property. Someone wants to split it into 2 or 3, say. How to go about splitting the title?
Well, again, being a lawyer, I can't just give you a straight answer, and it's not because I charge by the minute, because I don't, although I could. If it was, say, a house that you gave us a scenario where you've got 3 or 4 flats in it, the simplest way to do that would be to grant leases to all of the buyers that were purchasing, so they're all on the same terms, and that way you have the building itself as a wrapper around the actual leases. Alternatively, if it was, say, a piece of land that you were building houses upon, you could split the title by doing transfers of part from developer A to each of the buyers. And the way I liken that is that if you buy a residential house, like the house I'm in here, it's detached, you would imagine it's a type of cupcake. It's a single cake. If you were buying something off a plan from a developer, Barrett, Bovis, Persimmon, all the ones beginning with B, all of the smaller ones across the country, imagine it's one big chocolate cake and you're taking a slice away at a time. What people don't often get themselves is, for example, I've got a fairly large garden. If I wasn't in my garden's in the national park, my house is in Test Valley, but my garden falls in the New Forest National Park. So I'm unlikely to build in it, mainly because my neighbours would object, and I think my kids would object as well. But if I could transfer that land from my wife and I to ourselves. But you can't transfer land to yourselves and grant yourselves rights. So I would have to transfer it from, say, my wife and I to her or to a third-party company to grant rights against the land's rights of access. And that's where I often find people get confused. I've got some clients in a minute who want to sell their house but keep the paddock at the back of their house because they want to keep their horses in the local area. They're moving like 500 yards down the road. And when I told them you can't actually transfer that land to yourself because you won't get any rights, it becomes very confusing for them. So I said, well, if you could grant yourself rights, I said, you throw yourself down the stairs, break a leg and sue yourself and claim on your insurance.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate. Bit of a risk, bit of a pain, but you know, for a few million, I'd probably do it.
Yeah, but this is building on the ground. What if you were to split it that way? So in other words, you've got a tall enough house that you could sell the top floor, say, split off the top floor.
If you were going to do that, you would have to do it on a leasehold basis. You could set up a common hold, but I don't really want to have to get the 257 books and compare them to the sort of 46 common hold units that are across the country. It would be on a leasehold basis because that way you would make sure that the lease had rights granted. So, for example, say I was going to construct a flat in my loft at my house, they would need a right of way up the staircase and along the corridors to get up there. And they'd also need to know that I was going to insure the building and cover them, as well as giving them rights to make sure they could get gas, electricity, water, and what have you there.
Yeah. Okay. And in terms of leasehold, has the recent pandemic made much difference to you?
We've seen an increase in people making inquiries about dealing with enfranchisement matters because they've been at home and they thought, you know, I should really think about extending my lease.
Yeah.
And that seems to stem from the fact that I've seen a flood since the lockdown measures have been eased slightly of people who live in major metropolises, so the likes of London, deciding they want to have a rush to, someone said to me yesterday, Mr. Green. They want to be outside, they want to garden. And I had someone the other day, we were instructed on sale, went through in a week from start to exchange, including the bank holiday. I can't take all the credit. The buyer solicitor was very good and worked over the weekend, as did I, as did my client, his client, and the agent. But his client was selling a multi-million-pound flat in London. In fact, they'd already completed on it. And they, rather than having their 3-bedroom sort of penthouse apartment in Chelsea, they wanted to have a garden. So they bought something out in Wiltshire with a good few acres and a bit of river in it.
And thank you for that, Paul. We will be getting together again very soon to talk about more videos. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.